Okay, word by word, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kali Huvacham. The personality of Kali said, Yatram, anywhere, Kvam, and everywhere, Vam, either, Attam, thereof, Vatsyami, I shall reside, Sarvabhauma, O Lord, or Emperor of the earth. Tavam, your, Agyayam, by the order, Lakshayim, I see, Tatra Tatram, anywhere and everywhere, Apim, also, Tvam, your majesty, Atta, taken over, Ishu, arrows, Sharasanam, bows. Translation. I'm going to use my nasty voice because it's Kali speaking, okay? I mean, it's I use this in my studying, you know, when you bring emotions in, it really helps. Oh, your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. How was that? You want to repeat together? You can do that. Oh, your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. Very good. Purport by His Grace Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Kali could see that Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of all lands all over the world, and thus anywhere he might live, he would have to meet with the same mood of the king. The personality of Kali was meant for mischief, and Maharaj Parikshit was meant for subduing all kinds of mischief-mongers, especially the personality of Kali. It was better, therefore, for the personality of Kali to have been killed by the king then and there, instead of being killed elsewhere. He was, after all, a surrendered soul before the king, and it was for the king to do what was required. Okay, we have text 37 as well. I'm going to just read translation and purport. Or would you like me to read the Sanskrit? It's auspicious to just listen. Sorry, my pronunciation is not really good. Tanme dharma vritam shrishtam stanam nirdeshtum arhasim yatraiva niyato vatsyam atishtam stenu shasanam. Translation. Therefore, O chief amongst the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. Purport. The personality of Kali addressed Maharaj Parikshit as the chief amongst the protectors of religiosity, because the king refrained from killing a person who surrendered unto him. A surrendered soul should be given all protection, even though he may be an enemy. That is the principle of religion. And we can just imagine what sort of protection is given by the personality of Godhead to the person who surrenders unto him not as an enemy, but as a devoted servitor. The Lord protects the surrendered soul from all sins and all resultant reactions of sinful acts, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:66. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakayam Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnapadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharinem Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Deshatarinem Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanandam Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So we are still on chapter 17, which is called the punishment and reward of Kali. So it's interesting that Kali was punished, but also rewarded. And just now, in the previous verses, the little synopsis, right? So as soon as Maharaj Parikshit was ready to chop Kali's head off, and he was serious about it, he wasn't joking, Kali immediately gave up his royal dress, and this is how we can see that he was not really a Kshatriya, of course, because Kshatriyas don't do that, and they don't surrender. This is something that is a shame for a Kshatriya. So either you win or you die. And if you fear for your life, you probably just better stay home and not go to the battlefield. So here is Kali as a typical, mischief-monger. I like this word. And now he is trembling with fear, and with folded hands, he surrendered unto Maharaj Parikshit. And as an ideal administrative head, Maharaj Parikshit, according to the principles of religion, did not kill Kali. So one point that I wanted to touch upon today is this kind of a dilemma when there is duty on one hand, right? Being an executive administrator and desiring to protect the citizens from the mischief-mongers, right? And then on the other hand, there is compassion and following the religious principles. So how would you balance that? And there are several cases like this in the scriptures, and it's always really nice to go over them and understand, what's happening really, and try to see if there's something like this happening in our life and how we should deal with that. Okay, so talking about Kshatriyas, right? Kshatriyas are the protectors, the administrators, and they're supposed to be strong, and they're supposed to be very threatening to the criminals. Otherwise, there is no way that there will be peace and prosperity in the society. Because while you can talk nicely to some people in the mode of goodness, you can't really do that with people in the mode of ignorance, right? So a kshatriya or an executive head, an administrator, should be prepared to use force when it is necessary and when it is according to the religious principles. Of course, there are many other ways, there is diplomacy and all these kind of things, but here specifically we're talking about criminals, like Kali personified, right? So here you have to be really strong, you have to be like consistent with your, if you say you can't do that and the person does it, then there should be a consequence. Otherwise, what's the point? So Maharaj Parikshit definitely was the strongest, the most courageous and magnificent king of that time. So obviously Kali was getting it. I can't do this, and I'm going to die unless I somehow don't get something out of Maharaj Parikshit, because he follows the principles of religion, and that's why when Kali surrendered, there is no question of killing somebody who is surrendered, right? And that is according to the religious principles. However, so what are you going to do? Here is this criminal, and I can't kill him, so I need somehow to make sure that he doesn't disturb the citizens, the law-abiding citizens. So he orders, Maharaj Parikshit orders Kali to go somewhere else. I don't know where, because Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of the whole world, but somehow, okay, he wanted Kali, okay, I'm going to spare your life, but you got to go somewhere else. You can't do your irreligious activities here. And I just thought it would be nice if we could just send all the criminals away somewhere else. You can stay in our country, you have to go somewhere else, but it doesn't solve the problem. And in this case, since the whole earth was under the rule of Maharaj Parikshit, there was basically nowhere for Kali to go. So this is a problem, okay? When somebody surrendered to you, basically you have to give protection. But how do you do that? So this is something that we can see as a lesson, right? So what does Maharaj Parikshit do? He finds a solution. He's very, very clever, and he knows perfectly well how to rule. And what did he suggest to Kali? Basically, not suggest. He just ordered him. Okay, these are the places where you can live. What are those places? How many? 4, I think. 5. 4 or 5. 5. Okay. So gold was the last one, right? It's kind of like a bonus after. So the first one, or whatever, one of the 4. Gambling, where there's gambling. Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex. And then when that was kind of not enough for Kali, he started asking for more. Then he got this interesting thing, gold, where there's gold. And why? And Srila Prabhupada explains it in a purport, and I think that goes later in later verses, that where there is gold, people are prone to all these, for things, for irreligious activities. Because why? What do you think? Why gold would? It doesn't, or it does? It does. But how come? Why? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, staying on a bodily platform, enjoying the sense gratification. Okay, that's great. Any other ideas? It's interesting because I know there is this concept or philosophy that money doesn't do bad things. I mean, it's like you can be rich and good and pious and and it's true, right? We know people like that probably. Ah. Mm. Most people do get under the influence of the wealth of gold. And I was thinking, well, when you have money, you don't really have to, work hard to make a living. You kind of like, the poor people or not so rich people, they're busy every day because they need to make a living. Okay, I don't really have time and I don't really have money for like too much gambling or whatever, but when you're rich, you don't really have to work and you kind of can do anything you want because you have money. So it's kind of like it gives you the opportunity to just try things out, and after you've tried something, this and that, you start going, okay, because we know senses are not going to be satisfied ever. So when I have the opportunity and the time, I just indulge in that, and the more I do, the more I want, and then I start getting into the not such, approved methods or whatever. Let me try this, try that. That's what a lot of rich people do, as far as I know, because they have access. Mm-hmm. Yes, and pride. I'm better than others, so I deserve it. I can afford it. So, okay. Of course, there are devotees who are wealthy, there are pious people who are wealthy, and there are a lot of them. However, just want to make it clear, the majority of people really can't resist that influence of Kali. And especially, I think we can see that. I know there was some research done on the people that won lottery and just got filthy rich overnight, and like pretty much 99% of them or something, they lost that money really quickly because what they did, they started doing all kinds of crazy things because, okay, now I have the time and the money, but then it was all gone and they ended up even in a worse condition than they were. Anyhow, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge to be wealthy. Anyhow, so the next point that I wanted to make is that Maharaj Parikshit was in the position to chastise Kali or any miscreant that he would find, because that was his duty, that was his dharma. But it doesn't mean that we should just try to copy him and take it upon ourselves to do the same, because there is such a thing, and I was like surprised and kind of sad to find out that actually people that take to spirituality, start doing different spiritual practices, and they tend to become more judgmental because they start feeling like they are better, cleaner, or more chosen than others. So you probably all know somebody who is kind of like a basher, and who maybe with good intentions, but creating that that feeling that people who are into spirituality, they're kind of like what do you call it? They're better than others. I sometimes catch myself feeling that way, and it's just like oh. So that is something that is, it's automatic. It's kind of like inside, deep inside. It's unconscious, an unconscious behavior. Once you get something, once you learn something, you become good at something, or even a little better than somebody else, it comes out. I'm better. I'm more worthy, or whatnot. So this is something that we really want to look out for as being devotees of Krishna. And here we can take Maharaj Parikshit's example, because he shows compassion. Compassion in accordance with religious principles. So that compassion to others who, for whatever reason, are under the influence of Kali, that should be, we should try to cherish that and try to be more compassionate to ourselves also and to others, but mostly to others, because, you know, they say strict to yourself and lenient to others. So here in the end of the second of the purport to 37, Srila Prabhupada says, so compassion and allowing Kali to live was according to religious principles. And although, you know, Kali was a miscreant, he got protection from Maharaj Parikshit. So what to speak about devotees who surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead out of love? So here Srila Prabhupada giving us like really that reassurance of protection from Krishna. And I love this verse from Bhagavad Gita, 1866. It's amazing. If I feel like if you just really take this verse to the heart, then there wouldn't be any fear. There wouldn't be any even slightest doubt that Krishna would take care of us. And that is like really so powerful in situations like this. And there's a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, and I just feel so fortunate. And I don't know if you remember that verse. Anybody? 1866, the one that is gives that Krishna will protect, and he will deliver from all the sins and reactions. Right. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Do not fear. Do not fear. I will protect you. I will remove all the reactions to sinful activities. Just surrender unto me. Abandon all religion. It's not the exact translation, but the meaning, do not fear. I think this should be like the motto of the coronavirus protection. So yeah, what to speak about? So just feeling that, like I said, taking to the heart, it kind of gives such a tremendous amount of peace and joy and gratitude, and the desire to share that protection, because it's available to anyone, even to the personality of Kali, even to all those other demons and whatever. So Krishna is offering, if you surrender, I will protect you, and do not fear. And I just wanted to, I read the next verse in the purport because I was curious, and I just wanted to just say a few words about that, because it's really interesting. Srila Prabhupada is, again, here he's in all these verses, he's talking about the age of Kali and how the religious principles are are abandoned, and those vices that start flourishing in the society, they correspond, or they kind of like they make counter pairs to the principles of religion that were being destroyed. So when we talk about pride, we were just talking about pride. What religious principle is opposite? So when that religious principle diminishes, then pride starts manifesting. Do you know? Can you guess? Not in the context of the verses here, but that's definitely a counterpart. But think about the four religious principles, those that the four legs, right, of Dharma, the bull, and they are cleanliness, austerity, what is that? Truthfulness, compassion or mercy. So those four. Okay, so out of these four, which is the one that when it disappears, it brings up pride? It's from the next purport. I read it over there. Okay, let me give you a hint. Okay, so when I feel like proud, let's talk about, like we're just talking about the if I'm rich and I'm kind of proud and I have money and time, then I don't want, or I don't understand why I should be doing this. Right, austerity, like why should I undergo austerity? What's the point? I'm good, I'm fine. I have everything I need and even more than others. So let others do the austerity. I don't want to. So austerity and pride, this is the pair. So I mean, sometimes you may not immediately create that connection, but this is what Srila Prabhupada tells in the purport. And a good example of that would be, there were two sons of Kubera, Manigriva and Nalakupara. And we all know about them from Damadarshtakam. So they were super rich, good looking and everything. And they were the sons of the treasurer of the demigods, Kubera, who was also a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So they were so puffed up that they were just, drinking, enjoying the beautiful women. And what happened is that one very famous personality was passing by while they were bathing and playing in the water, and they were so intoxicated they were not even aware that they were naked, and they didn't have any shame. So that great personality cursed them with the desire to help them. Okay, you are so proud, you're so puffed up, so I'm going to curse you so that you can get rid of that situation. And that's how they became two Arjuna trees, just happened to be in Vrindavan and just happened to be next to Mata Yashoda and Maharaj Nanda's house, and you know the story. Okay, and then the three other ones is, so we have intoxication, right? And the religious principle that corresponds to it, or in other words, the one that is being diminished and bringing that vice, intoxication, would be no, not in this context. So let's say if I get drunk, right, and I just feel angry and I'm just gonna start punching somebody in the face. Right, mercy. Mercy. So when people get intoxicated, at least a lot of them lose that sensitivity, that compassion and mercy unto others. So a good example of that is Jaga and Madai, who used to be habitually habitual drunkards and criminals. And what they did when they were drunk, they would do all kinds of violent things, even to each other. They were just punching each other, hitting each other, and just would fall down on the ground and just start rolling and fighting. So intoxication brings, or the lack of mercy or compassion leads to intoxication, and the other way around. And then there is falsehood. That's easy. Falsehood and truthfulness, right? That's kind of a very obvious pair. And it is said, though, that in the age of Kali, one leg is still there, right? Remember, there was beating the three legs and one was left. And that was the truthfulness. So somehow we still have that, but not too much. And it's very clear how falsehood or misrepresentation and other variations of that is crawling into our life, although maybe they're not right in your face yet. And I really liked this last thing that I'm going to say, how my Guru Maharaj told a story, a touching story about one of his god brothers, Badrinarayan Maharaj, I believe, and how he, Badrinarayan Maharaj, early in his life understood this, that this world is deceiving, and there's a lot of falsity. So when he was a child, I think him and his mother went to the movies or something, and he asked his mom to give him some money to get candy. So he got little, like 10 cents or something, and he went and he started looking at the candy, and he said, okay, this box of candy, this cost this much, and then there's a bigger box, and it costs more, but he's like, okay, there should be more candy in it. Obviously, it's a bigger box. It's more expensive. So he bought that box, but when he opened it, there was one little thing there like that. And being a child, he was like, wow, that's really, it's not fair. And he said from that point, he like really realized that, this world is a world of, what is it? Deception, right? Deceived and deceiving and deceived. Those who deceive and those who are deceived by those who deceive. So yeah, this is what we face almost about every day. I mean, I don't watch TV and things like that, but I know when I go out there, these advertisements are everywhere, and people, sellers would do anything to market their goods or services to you. And, if you put like one of the three things, either the pictures of animals, babies, or half-naked women, you can sell anything. You can sell anything, because people are attracted to these kind of things, but they think they're getting something that is kind of represented by those, sweetness, these babies, animals, and stuff like that. But they're not getting that. So this is false. This is false. And although we all know that, everybody knows that, they know it, we know it, but still, what to do? We get tricked like that. Okay, so just to wrap it up, again, Srila Prabhupada is giving us a really good understanding of what the age of Kali Yuga is, and Maharaj Parikshit is the last great king of the time, and it's very this is very relevant to us in our situation right now, in the current pandemic So it's a good example. And again, why does Srila Prabhupada do that? He's not doing that to scare us, or kind of. I mean, it's good to be scared of the things that we should be scared of, but he emphasizes again and again that Krishna gives protection, and that protection and shelter is available to us through Srimad Bhagavatam, through chanting the holy name, chanting and hearing. And they say that whoever protects the religion is protected by religion. So as long as we stick to this, and as long as we stick to it ourselves, and as long as we try to help others and give them that protection and shelter that's available, the better we are off, during this time. And we know as devotees that Krishna will protect us. We don't have nothing to worry about. However, in this situation, we should think more about helping others, because we know we are, when we surrender sincerely, Krishna will protect us. So under, this insurance, we feel, okay, now let me help others. Let me give them that wonderful shelter that Srila Prabhupada so mercifully gave us. And I'm going to conclude here. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And we have a few minutes for any questions and comments. And do we have a mic? I was told previously that people online cannot hear the questions or comments. It is something new. Okay, let's try to do that. So I will repeat the question or comment, or at least the main point of it, if anybody wants. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Okay, let me see if I got the question. So first of all, you mentioned that in the purport to this verse 1866 in Bhagavad Gita, there are three things that Srila Prabhupada says. So one is, translation, do not fear. The other one, do not hesitate. And then do not be in anxiety, right? Do not be anxious. Okay, and then the question is, mm-hmm. Okay, so kind of bringing or drawing a comparison between these two situations, Kali and Maharaj Parikshit. So Kali was forced to surrender basically out of fear, and he got protection according to religious principles. And then on the other hand, there is Krishna and Arjuna, right? And Krishna explained to Arjuna everything, and then he gave them a choice, surrender or not, or, do what I ask you to do or not. And then again, he says, basically, if you surrender to me, and then I will protect you. Okay. So I think you partially maybe answered your question, or explained the point that, personality of Kali is not a devotee. He wasn't asking Krishna for advice, or Maharaj Parikshit for advice. Should I not, beat the bull? So he was already engaged in sinful activity. And what Maharaj Parikshit did, he basically said, I'm going to punish you for doing this, because you're already doing these bad things, and you're not asking me or anybody else, so I'm just going to kill you. And then out of fear, Kali surrendered. He was forced to. Basically, he didn't have any other choice. However, was there a chance that he would, listening to Maharaj Parikshit's words, he would say, you know what? I think I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. And you know what? I want to change. I will become better. Just, please spare me. I will not do it again. So was there a chance of that happening to Kali? I personally don't think so. Because he was, irreligion personified. So that was his nature. There was nothing that could be done about it. You just have to, Maharaj Parikshit just had either to kill him or to put him somewhere, in some places, somewhere else where he cannot be influencing that much. So, and when we're talking about Krishna and Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord. He asked Krishna to guide him. He, as a devotee, in a difficult situation, he surrendered to Krishna. I'm your disciple, so please instruct me. And Arjuna represents Jiva, right? Although he's a pure devotee, Krishna, put him under, illusion so that he could feel all those things, those impurities, and by that, everybody else would learn a lesson. So by talking with Arjuna, by instructing him, by being a friend, Krishna, invoked his spiritual nature. So there was, in other words, it made sense to to explain to him and to give him a choice whether you want to surrender or not. And yes, in case you do surrender, you will get protection. If you don't surrender, you are on your own, because when you are on your own, you think you can do by yourself. So you don't basically need protection. So these are, in my view, like two very different things. And comparing them is very beneficial, because yes, Kali can get protection also, but it's not the same as protection that a devotee would get, right? It's not the protection that Arjuna would get. Forced surrender in. Right. Exactly.
So these are the two parallels where surrender is the key, but then are we going to surrender out of fear?
Right.
Or are we going to surrender out of love?
So surrender out of fear is not the same as surrender out of love. Okay? Right. And that's why Krishna gives us the free will, right? Free will, we can either surrender or not. We can either turn our face to Krishna or, to Maya. So, yeah, we're not forced. However, sometimes Krishna mercifully puts us in a situation, and that happened to me also, when going through very, very difficult times. It kind of, but still in that situation, everybody has a choice, either to slip into the, grief, resentment, and whatnot, or take to Krishna consciousness. Still, we have a choice. Yes, some certain situations can kind of, set the scene and kind of force us to make the choice. We're not forced to surrender, but we are forced to make a choice, either this or that. And if we choose Krishna, then we get protection. If we don't choose Krishna, then we have to deal with the situation ourselves, and that's hard. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for a nice comment, Prabhu. It's really great to see those parallels and get the essence. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.